All right, good afternoon. Welcome back here to Trader Minute. Great to have you aboard. Again, apologize for not being on here this morning. I am doing what I can, and yeah, it has been quite a slog here. So my apologies here for not being on here with you this morning. But I'm gonna take it as I can, and do what I can as I can, and go from there. And yeah, so anyway, not a whole lot going on in the market. Fed day today. We just had the Fed rate decision. What did they say? Well, they basically said, look, don't look to us to raise rates. We're not raising rates. Go away. We're not going to raise rates. And I don't think the market was expecting them to raise rates anytime soon, but they basically said no rate hikes in 2020. Maybe they'll raise once in 2021, which we know when it comes to Fed policy, talking that far out is just just nonsensical. It doesn't, it doesn't change anything. So essentially, they've said, look, market, you have what you want. You want us to stop hiking rates. You don't want us to go back into this normalization cycle that we started in 2016 and did in 2017 and 2018. Fine, you got it. We'll not get in the way. And in the long term, are there some serious ramifications to that? Yeah, it could be argued that it is it is something that could have some very serious ramifications. But the arguments are both ways. You can make some arguments that the market has not seen any gains so far in the last couple years compared to what it's going to see in the coming years, simply based on the fact that the market doesn't have to worry about the Fed now. They just simply don't have to worry about the Fed. The Fed is now a safety net if it's needed, but they do not have to worry about, for the first time in a long time, as the Fed as a headwind here for the markets, and that is a position that the Fed kind of had to get into from a political standpoint. You say, well, the Fed's not supposed to be political, and yeah, you're right, it's not. But I think that's what we take away from this Fed meeting. I think it may be one of the more important Fed meetings in history. It won't go down as that today. You definitely can't tell by the market reaction. I mean, the volumes are minuscule, there in terms of the overall reactions. But it is something that, I think that is the takeaway. And what does that mean? Well, I think it means that if you're bullish on gold, you're even more bullish on gold long term. If you're bullish on bonds long term, you're even more bullish on bonds long term. And if you're bullish on stocks long term, you're even more bullish on stocks long term. I don't think it's something that changes anybody's perception of what the market is or what's going to happen or what's going to go on. It'll ultimately be something that, the history books we'll talk about to a much greater degree, and the market will deal with earnings and whatnot. Now, the challenge been quiet. We have not had a new signal here this week. We do have a signal here this afternoon, and it is on GLD, and I am giving it here just a moment to kind of shake out as, this wasn't a signal ahead of the Fed, and with the Fed, we are seeing the signal come in. We talked about GLD last week and some of the longer term elements of it, some of the outperformances of some of the gold miners and everything else, and yes, we got bumped out of that trade, but that didn't change anything when it came to gold and any of the chart elements that were going on. And I mentioned, hey, the next time it has a bullish signal, I am more than willing to go get in. And we do have a fresh 3-7 crossover here today, and the other elements of a signal coming into play with low consolidation risk. So I am going to go get into some GLD. Now I was hoping to pull back just a touch here. Looking at the 1 138.5s and the 138s here on the 10th of January. Just trying to decide, okay, how much do I want to allocate with where the challenge is? It's, supposed to be about 50-50, which is what I'm looking at, but, option pricing is never, never exact here. So, if we look at 6 of the 138.5s, that does put, a little bit more than 1,000 in. But that's what I'm looking at doing here with GLD and this signal. So let me give it. I want to give it about 60 more seconds here, just in case, and then run from there. But the ticker here is going to be GLD, and going to be looking here at 6 contracts on this 10th of January, 10th of January, 138.50 call here for it. Looks like we're continuing to move on up here, so I may not be able to wait too much longer. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and fill it here. All right, and it looks like fill price here at $1.81. So spreads 178 to 182. So $1.81 is my fill price here on that. And anything $1.75 to $1.85, pretty good level there for it, given the valuation on it. But into GLD, all right. Now let's come in and get the spreadsheet filled out here. Perhaps if it wants to load here for us. There we go. All right. And then I'm just waiting for a thumbs up here on the alert. Make sure that all went out well and good here, and I am getting that thumbs up, so good deal. So 12:11 p.m. GLD here, and the option entry price was $1.81 on 6 contracts, and the stock price here on entry 138.76. All right, so 138.76. About 50 cents lower than where we got into it last time. The average true range has gone down. It's $1.02 here on the average true range, $1.02. But that'll fill in our exit levels and our profit levels here for us. And there we go. I will get the other stuff filled in here as we go forward. But just going to fill in the essential information here this afternoon. Let's see here. So the first stop level or time stop would be the 16th. So we have 12:16 and 12:19 will be our time stops there. And there we go. There we go. And I'll get the delta and the gamma and the theta and all of that into it here a little bit later. But GLD running here with the bullish signal here on GLD here this afternoon. Now let me show you the scans. It's a very interesting scan result here today. We have 3 bullish crossovers: CSX, Gold, and Twitter. Right? Twitter, it's just been upside, downside, upside, downside. Same with CSX. Yeah, it's just been crossover galore with those. Not even close to signaling. And then if you come into the bearish crossovers, we have 4 on the list: Chevron, Coke, UPS, and Visa. None of them signaling. But if you were to look at these 2 lists, right, you'd probably surmise and say, look, Chevron down, Coke down, UPS down, Visa down, Gold up. Yeah, market's probably down, and you'd be wrong. Market is up a little bit here today. At least for now, it's been just kind of chopping at this level all day. Just not a whole lot going on here with it. And some of the same levels that we talked about earlier this week, that they're all still in play. The story really hasn't changed, in any major way, shape, or form there on them. The market metrics are unchanged here today. We continue to see a neutral market vibe. You say, well, how can the market vibe be neutral when the market's near highs? Well, that's what we're seeing. And again, neutral doesn't mean it has to go bearish or it has to go bullish, right? Neutral just means that there's not an overwhelming discrepancy between the bulls and the bears and the metrics that they have to suggest that, hey, you know what? The next big move is bullish. The next big move is bearish. We do have the market kind of sitting on its hands a little bit, waiting for the, trade war stuff and for, the tariffs to be removed or, to not be removed. Whatever's going to kind of happen there. We do have some UK elections here tonight that could move things a little. Probably not. We have the European Central Bank early tomorrow morning before the market opens, but no real earnings, no massive economic data, no real major expectations for, the central bank. So, yeah, it's a market that, yes, it is one that is shock risk right here. There is some shock risk, meaning some left field news could rattle it one way or the other. By rattle, I mean create a big move one way or the other. But as far as expected shock elements, so far, nothing is in play. At least just yet. All right. Thanks for hopping on. Have yourselves a fantastic day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care.